and welcome to my channel. Well, once again, I picked up another flashlight. This is the Sofrin IF22A, and this guy is a thrower. I'll show you a beam of it later on. Just showing you that. Now, what got me about this flashlight is these other ones here are 18650 size batteries. So it's 18 millimeters in diameter, 1650 or 650 millimeters in length. This battery takes a 21700, so it's going to be bigger in the head. I figured, I've never had a 21700 size flashlight, so I figured that this thing was going to be fat. I had no idea what a 21700 was, you know. I just knew it was bigger in capacity and bigger in diameter. So I figured the flashlight was going to be like one of those, like a Pepsi can, you know, like one of them big fat ones. And you really can't get an idea of the size of this thing when you're looking at it in videos a lot of times. You really can't tell, but this is actually very handy. And it reminds me of the old school flashlights. This is the way flashlights used to look like. They didn't have a straight head like this because they weren't very efficient at throwing and everything. They had to have a big lens to magnify it or help the beam out and everything. Now this one came, you know, with the battery. Now the advantage, of course, of a bigger battery is longer run times. You got a 21700, 3.7 volt lithium ion, 500 milliamps. Now this 50A right here is not 50 amps. They kind of throw you off with that. That's a model. That's like a model number or something. I don't think this is 50 amps because you'll see that in 18650 batteries it'll say 40A, and it's not a 40 amp. It's just another way they like to confuse you. All right, now when you first screw it in, it'll give you a little indicator of your battery. This is also a way to lock it out. Is, you know, just to twist that switch a little bit and it won't come on. They recommend if you're going to store the battery that you store it like that, with you know, not making contact. I guess there might be a little bit of parasitic drain. But if you look at, this is the FC11. You can see that the head's a little bit bigger, the diameter's a little bit bigger, but this is not uncomfortable. This is like a C-size cell. If you're used to the old style flashlights, this is like a little 2-cell C-cell flashlight. Now, this one has another advantage. It doesn't come with the cable, but if you've got a USB Type-C to USB Type-C cable, this one will act as a power bank. Also, this dongle here, they protect it a lot more. It does not interfere with your hand or your fingers. On the Wurkkos, this little flip right here will catch your thumb. It's nothing. It's annoying more than anything else. I mean, it's just a tactile thing, you know, when your finger's in there and you're trying to. I usually have this oriented also so that the clip is down here. It's opposite of the tail switch. Now this thing is a tail switch engage only. The reason why I'm bringing this one out is this one is also a thrower. This one has more of a, let me put it in moonlight mode. This one has more of a spot without a lot of spill to it. For this one to get to moonlight, I've got to hold this button down and push the tail switch. So as far as spots go, this is pretty usable. I used it in the, sorry, I got to turn this guy off. I used it when I woke up in the middle of the night, and to get to moonlight, you just push and hold. You can barely tell it there, but it's on. Now, if you look at, it's off. Let me turn the light off on this. If you look at this lens, it's got these three things down here, which I thought were maybe auxiliary LEDs. It's not. It's like a mounting system or something, I guess. But it's very well focused. Now, I've noticed something on mine is like a little defect over here. It's like something in the TIR is a acrylic type of stuff, but the lens right here, I think, is glass. And they're just a little, you know, like, you can't really see it when you're looking straight like this, but if you look to the side, I don't know if that's a mounting ring. I don't know if that's in all of their flashlights. It doesn't affect it. All right, so let's show the USB charging. I've only had this for a day. I've only been using it for like half a day. And first off, I'd like to say that this button is very well recessed. It's a plastic button, a solid plastic button. It's not a rubber one like these. It's not rubber covered. So it has a different feel to it. It's a mechanical switch. You can hit it on the side and still get it to come on, but it seems to work better if you're directly over it. So, I mean, as far as size comparison, this is a very well machined. You know, the anodizing on it is like this one here. This one, the anodizing is getting scratched because I'm putting it right next to another flashlight like this when I set it down, and it scrapes. I don't worry about stuff like that. That's kind of like patina on a flashlight. Now, this flashlight cost me like $39. I could have gotten it for $36 and just all black, but I'm really liking the colorful flashlights. All right, so to use it as a USB-C charger or as a battery bank, you just plug this guy in here, and you plug this guy in here. Fast charging, 88%. And that's very handy. That's very useful. Now, of course, yeah, you have to have, you know, the cable with you and everything for that to work. But, I mean, if you're carrying a flashlight and a phone and you're out hiking or whatever, you could probably carry some cables with you. It wouldn't be a big issue. So I really like that capability right there. Now, just a second. Now, I didn't do an unboxing simply because I wanted to look at everything, but it comes with a Type A USB to a Type C. So that'll give you the capability to charge the flashlight if you have another thing. They don't mention this in the manual, but this is an 18650 tube, which allows you to adapt this to use an 18650 battery. Now, I've and others have found that if you try to use a flat top 18650 in here, it won't work. But if you use a button top, it will. So let's steal this guy's battery. This is a button top. We'll stick him in there. Tighten him down. When we tighten it down, that green light should come on if it's making contact. And it does. And it's like in blockout. What the hell? It's freaking out right now. Look at that. I don't think I had the connection tight down there on the base. There's moonlight again. So I find that useful. Now, there's a way around this. The reason why this doesn't work with a flat top battery, I think, is this tube might be slightly too long. You can see it barely gets pat when a 18650 is flush with the base. Right there. It barely sticks up. One way to get around that is get a little magnet. I've got some coming in, little magnet, and you can stick it on your battery and it'll give it more distance. Because you can see this is a flat top. And you just got a spring here. This base is not magnetic. I think that they could have put a magnet in there because this thing is not that heavy. You know, if you've got a thrower, you're probably not going to need to tail stand too often, you know, sticking on something like that, because it's going to give you a pencil type of beam, you know. Now this one's on the endural ramping mode, so you just hold it and it'll ramp all the way down, and then you press it again and it'll ramp all the way up. When it gets to the very end, it'll blink at you, you know, to let you know that it's at its end mode and everything. A double click will get you, you know, turbo, and a triple click from off will get you the strobe. I should have warned everybody there was a strobe coming. But yeah, I find this one very useful. I'll try to get some kind of beam shot. I don't have much of an area to do beam shots in. You know, in an apartment, if I go out on my balcony, even at night, the place is pretty well lit out there, but we might be able to see something out of it. If I were to walk in the back of the parking lot back there and shine the light out, there is a good area where something's under construction, that housing places they're building right next to us. I could shine on that building. There's nobody in there, and it wouldn't, you know, freak people out. But this is Texas, and it's at night. So really, if you're at night, 3 o'clock in the morning out there, even if you got a camera and you're doing YouTube videos or whatever, yeah, it's the wild, wild west, man. You never know. Somebody might think you're trying to break into their truck or something and blast you. So I want beam shots, but I don't want them that bad. So anyway, yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a really good area to do beam shots in. So I'll probably refer you to other videos, other people that are shining this light, you know, doing a much better job. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that this particular flashlight I really enjoy. I like it a lot. Let's go ahead and get some of what the manual has to say on it. It says, you know, there was a piece of paper on the tail cap you got to remove. It's a powerful EDC flashlight for indoor or outdoor use. You can use it indoors. You're just going to have to use it on the lower modes. It uses a single 21700 battery and uses a USB-C port for convenient charging. High efficiency DTP MC PCB. I don't know what all those letters stand for. I know what the last one stands for, printed circuit board. And a super bright LED with up to 2100 lumens. It uses the user interface with both step modes and stepless ramping, as well as a more advanced temperature regulation with smart heat control. So it's not a time thing. It knows the temperature. All right. On low, you got 30 lumens. That is pretty useful for this thrower. It doesn't... It's not crazy. You'd think 30 lumens on a low mode would be crazy, but it can drop down to moonlight mode, which is just you hold the button until the light comes on and you've got 1 lumen. That is very useful. All right, so 41 hours and 22 minutes on low mode. Medium, 320 lumens, 5 hours, 36 minutes. High, 1100 lumens, 2 hours, 17 minutes. Turbo, 2100, 1 hour, 51 minutes. It steps down, so it's not going to be that the whole time. And when you go into high, this thing starts getting warm. I mean, it heats up. I haven't kept it on high for a long time, but it does get warm. Now, the advantage of that is, some people don't realize that, but in cold climates, this thing could act as a little hand warmer, which could make a difference sometimes in your comfort. Impact resistance to 1 meter, water resistant IPX8 up to 2 meters underwater and not for diving. Type C port, input output. See, they input output. They don't stress that there, but they really should mention that more. And then it says it's used. All the parameters are based on their battery. You have a luminous SFT40 LED with a lifespan of 50,000 hours, operating voltage of 2.8 to 4.5 volts. You can use one 21700 lithium. I noticed in this manual, it's the specifications are based upon a 4,000 milliamp battery, and it's supplied with a 5,000 milliamp battery. So your run times would probably be longer than what they specify here. Lithium-ion battery. Here's where they should have put, with the tube, you can also use an 18650, but they didn't. They didn't mention that in there. It weighs 120 grams without the battery. I'll put the weight in there after I weigh it. Like I said, there's not a whole lot to these things. Flashlight body, it is the same aerospace grade aluminum with anti-abrasion. Water resistant. Mode memory, memorize the last brightness level used in the general modes. Reverse polarity protection, low voltage warning. When the battery is too low, the LE indicator on the side switch will start to flash rapidly. Low voltage protection, the flashlight steps down automatically when the voltage is lower than 3 volts. It also turns off automatically as voltage gets too low. Advanced temperature regulation, if the temperature rises above 55 C, I'll have to look that up. That's like, I think 100 degrees, 100 and something. IF22A is programmed to automatically step down and step up the brightness to prevent overheating. I think I don't see how it would step up the brightness to prevent overheating. That's usually the other way around. I think that's a typo. So there's your 21700. Unscrew it, power indicator green, remaining power is good. That's one way of putting it. Red, remaining power is poor, less than 30%. Flashing red, recharge the battery. USB-C port for convenient charging. Please connect it to include a USB-A to USB-C cable and use a power adapter not included with a 5-volt, 3-amp max output. It takes approximately 2.5 hours to fully charge one battery. The battery that it came with, I charged it up and it took about an hour. So I already had some charge in it. It flashes red. This light, it just blinks red, and when it's fully charged, it comes on a solid green. Okay. Single click on the side switch to turn it off. Change brightness modes while on. Press and hold the side switch to cycle through the step modes in the step mode group, or stepless ramping from 1 lumen to 2100 lumen ramping group. 4 fast clicks to toggle between the two groups. From on or off, double click to activate turbo. While in turbo, single click to return to previous mode. Triple click to activate strobe. Another click goes back to previous mode. While off, press and hold to get to moonlight. On moonlight, another press and hold goes to standard modes. Toggle between stepped and ramping groups from on, 4 fast clicks. While off, 4 fast clicks to lock out. When light is locked out, you can press and hold to use moonlight. Another 4 fast clicks to cancel lockout. And that's basically it. Like I said, what surprised me, first off, I like the machining on this. It's not too grippy, but it's grippy enough that you can feel it. It's got a reversible 2-way clip, this thing might be a little bit heavy on a cap. Just saying, you want to have a good brim on there. You're not going to be able to use like a boonie hat unless you're like aiming at the ground a lot. Yeah, I'm really impressed with this light. I really like it. It'll stand, you know, like this or like this. If you've got it like this and you're aiming up at the ceiling, it does a pretty good job of being like an area light. If it was, you know, the only thing you had and you got a spot beam, just aim it toward the ceiling and it'll get bright. I wouldn't run it in turbo mode for real long just because of the heat generation. I've seen one guy, he ran it on turbo and it got to where it was too hot for him to hold. He had to hold it kind of like with the clip here and his hands barely touching it. So yeah, if your light gets too hot to hold, maybe you should turn the light temperature down unless you really need that turbo for some reason. So that's about it for the initial impressions. Like I said, if you've gotten batteries, you know, that are like 18650 size, and you think, well, this is pretty thick. Actually not. If you've been around old flashlights and everything, this is nowhere near the size of a mag light, D-cell flashlight in weight or size, but it defeats it in output. Yeah, flashlights have come a long ways nowadays. So the next one I'll have up here, I'll try to put some beam shots for you. All right. That's Moonlight, 1 lumen. Pretty usable. You see, it doesn't flood or anything, but it's a pretty usable little spot there. This is one of the first moonlights that actually can go out a distance. All right, next click's going to brighten. You hold it, it's going to come back to what it remembered. That's the maximum ramp right there. Try to get the map. There's maximum. It flashed. It's lighting up the whole room, just shining this. I mean, I can see it's like having a regular living room light off here from just reflecting. And then it can just step down to as low as you want to go. That's the echo mode. All right, this is a strobe warning. It's kind of an oscillating. See, it kind of changes around. In 2 clicks, it'll bring it to turbo. Then 1 click, it'll bring it back to your last remembered mode. So I usually keep it around there. The light will come on when it first comes on and goes off. All right, so that's the Sofrin IF22A. Now let's try the Wurkkos FC12. This is another little thrower. You can see how it has a usable flood around it. There's the low one, medium, high. You can see it's got not only the center spot, but a flood area around it. All right, let me turn this guy. I'll try to get it to firefly. I got to use 2 hands to do that. I'm doing this in the dark, too. All right, there's Firefly with the FC12. You can see it has a spot and it has a little side beam to it, so it's kind of a little bit more usable light to me in that respect. And there's your turbo. Really lights the area up. All right. Baton 3 Pro. You can see it's more of a floody type of light. Let's get it down. It's just stepping right now. Let me get it, hold it. There's your moonlight. As you can see, it's more of a flood. I mean, it'll work, but it's not as good as these spot flood ones as far as like seeing things on low mode. Yeah, no real, just kind of a central area with a graduated flood to it.